Something is happening behind the scenes of Season 6, and it isn't hype, it isn't marketing, it isn't noise. It feels deeper. If you think you've already seen the emotional peak of this series, hold that thought. What's unfolding now goes past performance and past production. It moves like a heartbeat. It feels like a prayer answered in real time. What began as a faith-based show has crossed a line into something raw and startlingly human. It's not about bigger sets or louder moments. It's about quiet breaths before a scene, the weight of a single word, the hush that falls when everyone realizes they're part of a story older than all of us. You can sense it in the way people talk about the work, not as a job, but as a calling they didn't know they were waiting for. Season 6 is being described as the most intense, most emotional, most transformative chapter so far. That isn't a slogan. It's the feeling that keeps returning to the set each morning like a tide. New reports from people on the ground say the crucifixion sequences have become an experience where cinema and devotion meet without borders. No one is pretending. No one is coasting. Everyone is carrying something heavy and real. Crew members keep using the same word, pilgrimage. Not a shoot day, a walk with purpose, a long climb that changes you by the time you come back down. The director, Dallas Jenkins, has called it a living prayer. The cast calls it holy chaos. Holy, because the atmosphere turns still without being asked. Chaos, because emotion arrives unplanned and takes over. And there's a reason the ground feels charged. Production returned to the same hillside in Italy where a landmark portrayal of the Passion was filmed 2 decades ago. That place remembers. It holds echoes. Choosing that location was both symbolic and daunting. The earth has already carried sorrow there. Now it's being asked to carry redemption too. The idea is simple and terrifying, to film where grief has been spoken before and let hope answer it. You can hear it in how people describe dawn on that hill. Cool air, thin light, footsteps that slow down as they rise toward the ridge. Before sunrise, Jonathan Rumi, who portrays Jesus, walked barefoot to the top. No lines, no marks to hit, just him and the cross. He placed his hand on the wood and whispered a prayer so soft that the set fell silent on its own. 10 minutes passed like a held breath. Jokes stopped. Laughter faded. Even the small sounds people make when they're waiting, those stopped too. Something shifted. And after that, every take felt like a vow. Makeup artists said they weren't applying wounds. They were remembering them. That isn't technique. That's memory speaking through hands. When cameras finally rolled, the air felt heavy and clear at the same time, like a storm that never breaks. One extra, dressed as a Roman soldier, dropped to his knees mid-scene and whispered, "Forgive me." No one called for a reset. No one filled the silence. The moment held, as if the set itself refused to move forward until that whisper finished its work. The cross rose. The wind turned. A charge ran through the crowd. Extras, crew, people who've seen 1,000 filming days and know the difference between acting and something else. Rumi insisted on a crown of real thorns. Not for show. For truth. If I wear it, I should feel it, he said. When the thorns pressed in and the first thin lines of red slid down his face, some of the extras who were meant to mock him couldn't get the words out. One broke down. Another walked off, set in tears, unable to return until the scene moved on. Then came the moment everyone had circled on the schedule and quietly dreaded, the nailing sequence. Only essential crew were allowed to remain. The set agreed to silence without being told. The actor playing the executioner raised the hammer and his hands shook. Dallas Jenkins stepped close, placed a hand on his shoulder and reminded him, "We're not showing pain. We're showing love, paid in full." The hammer struck the wood. The sound rolled down the valley, wide and unbroken. People said the birds that had been singing went quiet all at once, as if the air itself listened. No one spoke. No one moved. Rumi hung there trembling, eyes on the horizon. A small prayer left his lips, almost too soft to hear. And something strange happened. People stopped seeing an actor. They stopped seeing a lens. They saw a story they knew by heart stand up in front of them and breathe. Schedules had called for 1 day. The work demanded 3. When the final scene wrapped, there were no shouts, no applause, no rush to pack up. Only tears. Only quiet. And that was only part of it. Sources close to production say the resurrection sequences, now in pre-production, are shaping into something even more powerful. The promise is simple and fierce, a scene that breaks and heals in a single heartbeat. People describe the mood around those plans as otherworldly, like there's a current moving under every decision and every line, guiding the work without anyone forcing it. This isn't standard television anymore. It's a meeting place where art, faith, and human experience touch without friction. Every frame seems to carry breath. Every pause holds weight. You can feel an old story arriving in a new voice, asking not just to be watched, but to be felt. Like a hand on your shoulder when you didn't realize you needed one. What makes Season 6 different isn't spectacle. It's attention. It's the choice to slow down and honor small moments. The pause before a line, the silence after a blow, the look that doesn't blink. It's the courage to let scenes take as long as they need, even when the schedule says otherwise. It's the honesty of pain shown without cruelty, and love shown without decoration. People on set keep telling the same kinds of stories, as if comparing notes after waking from the same dream. They talk about quiet that doesn't feel empty, about time that moves differently under that sky, about the sense that the land remembers and adds its own truth to each take. The hillside becomes a partner. The wind becomes a witness. The work becomes an offering. There are details that sound small but land heavy. The way Rumi stayed with the cross between takes, not out of obligation but out of need. The way the crew handled props like they were heirlooms. The way familiar faces, people who've built sets and lit scenes for years, found themselves swallowing hard before calling out measurements or cues. The ordinary rhythms of a set gave way to a slower, steadier beat. Even the language around the production has changed. People aren't talking about angles and setups first. They're talking about meaning. They're asking whether a moment tells the truth. They're weighing words like they weigh precious metal, carefully, patiently, turning them in the light to see what they carry. That care shows. It lingers in the finished scenes like the last note of a song still ringing in the room. And yet, for all the gravity, there's tenderness here too. The point is not to overwhelm. The point is to lift, to hold the audience steady through what hurts and then lead them toward what heals. That's why the reminders matter. Love paid in full. Pain not as a spectacle, but as a doorway. Sorrow not as an end, but as a beginning that keeps opening. Ask anyone who's watched this project from the start, and they'll tell you something has shifted. Early seasons built the road. This season walks it to the end and then keeps walking. The work behind the camera feels aligned with the story in front of it. The craft and the conviction match stride. That's rare. You can't stage it. You can only welcome it when it arrives. There is also a growing sense that the impact won't stop at the edge of the screen. People expect to feel this season in their chest, not just think about it in their head. The scenes seem built to move through you, past the surface, past the easy answers, into the rooms you keep closed. They invite you to open the door and let something good stand there a while. As plans for the resurrection take shape, the talk has turned to light. Not the technical kind, though that will be exacting, but the light that enters a room when grief loosens its hand. The kind that doesn't blind but clarifies. The kind that makes you see the familiar with new honesty. That is the destination being built toward, not a moment that erases what came before, but one that completes it. Season 6 isn't asking you to admire it. It's asking you to meet it, to sit with it, to let it walk beside you for a while. You'll hear the nails. You'll hear the silence that follows. You'll hear the quiet rush when relief arrives. And in between those sounds, you might hear your own heart answering back. When the season releases, the story won't just be told. It will be felt. Every tear will mean something. Every wound will speak. Every whisper of redemption will find a place to land. What's coming next is not a twist. It's a fullness. It's the same story, deeper in. It's the same road, taken all the way to morning. No one can be fully ready for that. But when it arrives, you'll know. The air will change. The room will quiet. And for a moment that lasts longer than it should, you'll remember why stories matter. Because they don't just entertain. They awaken. They restore. They make you brave enough to face the dark, and patient enough to wait for the light.